God damn, there's been a lot of Mario lately. Kicking off the year with the North America debut of Super Nintendo World, into the massively successful Mario movie, and then a fall of back-to-back releases with even more on the way. But although there is a lot to love about our chubby little plumber, there are definitely some areas that leaves a lot to be desired. Mario RPGs, a subgenre containing some of the most beloved and hated Mario titles at the same time. Originally starting with the Square-developed Super Mario RPG for the Super Nintendo, Super Mario RPG pulled Mario out of the comfort of platforming and slowed things down a bit, throwing him and a cast containing a mix of familiar and new faces into a turn-based adventure, showcasing the Mushroom Kingdom like never before. The inception of the game was pretty simple. Miyamoto wanted to make an RPG using Mario as the backdrop, and Square wanted to develop an RPG that would see more success outside of Japan than their previous titles. And Mario was just the Trojan horse to do that, and the result was something great. It was a critical and commercial success and developed a bit of a cult following throughout the years as time slowly pushed it into obscurity. Remember the Geno kids every time a new Smash character was about to be announced?
There are dozens of us.
And although Square and Nintendo never came together for another Mario RPG, the stage was set. Super Mario RPG brought with it a colorful cast of characters, smart writing full of humor and sarcasm, and a battle system simple but sweet with its timing-based combat, which would reward the player with more damage dealt and less damage taken when pressing the action button at precisely the right time. This set the stage for what audiences could expect with a Mario RPG and would be the blueprint for the next couple of titles. But it is important to note, Super Mario RPG is truly a one-of-a-kind game, a real working man's RPG, something you could come home to after a long day in the mines, crack open a cold one and just relax with. This is very much a Square Enix game using Nintendo assets, and you can tell because Nintendo went a little more Nintendo with what came next.
Weenie Hut Juniors!
Paper Mario, baby. Don't get me wrong, I like this game, and I love this game. But there is a stark difference in styles here. Everything is paper, and they committed to the bit well. There's a lot of fun exploring these worlds and seeing how elements of the Mushroom Kingdom gets translated into the paper style. It was just a little cute for some, but look man, I was 5 when this came out, so I was ripe for the indoctrination. And although it looked different, it didn't lose the spirit of what Super Mario RPG was able to do. You had the homies, you had timing-based combat, a simple but rewarding XP system, the writing was solid, and the Thousand Year Door had a 100-level gauntlet of enemies to fight, slowly increasing in difficulty and rewarding you with some beefy boy badges. Nintendo understood what these games needed to be, and the RPG space fit them perfectly. And then they were like, chota fucking mate, we gotta get the shit on handheld too, and introduced Mario and Luigi, which had most of the great things from what came before it, but brought a new style to these hot little tight pixel bodies, removed parties to put the focus solely on the brothers, which allowed for the timing-based combat to be maxed out to 100. On top of this, they slapped a soundtrack so banger that it was popping up next to the likes of Daft Punk. Mario RPGs were litty in the early 2000s, and Nintendo was knocking it out on all fronts, but then this happened.
We would like to play.
The Wii era. When Nintendo traded in its punk rock party girl status to suburbanite looking forward to the next trip to Whole Foods, the Wii had some good come out of that little white box, but most Nintendo fans agree this was the start of the dark times for the Nintendo faithful, and the next installment of Paper Mario got caught up with the rest of it. Now this game is actually pretty fun and definitely far from the worst Paper Mario out there. It still felt like Paper Mario, but the turn-based RPG was replaced with a more traditional Mario experience and put the focus on puzzles this time around. The unique cast of characters who each had their own backstories and character arcs were replaced with these pixie things that granted Mario unique abilities to uncover new areas and progress through the game world, akin to that of a Metroidvania. But the game still offered XP to level up your characters, giving a sense of progression and motivating players to still engage with enemies to build themselves up. The classic example of X game with RPG elements. Nintendo's reasoning for the change was, hey, we already had a Mario RPG series with Mario and Luigi, and we didn't need 2 of the same thing. That's fine and all, but I think this was a bit of a non-issue. Sure, they had the same foundation, but there were a lot of differences, especially in the party and combat systems, that helped make them feel different to one another. But look, I guess if this was the route we were taking, I could live with it. And hey, maybe the next Paper Mario game would be even greater with this new identity. The beginning of the end, ladies and gentlemen. Paper Mario's Pearl Harbor, if you will, because November 11th, 2012 is most certainly a date that will live in infamy. This game looked at everything that came before and said, nah man, that ain't me. This game was a big ol' nothing burger. It's so boring. Do you like cool characters? Too bad. It's Mario and an army of the same looking Toad. The story was not engaging, and the writing did not have nearly a fraction of the charm that previous entries had. And worst of all, turn-based combat was back, but in the most scuffed form you could imagine. For starters, XP was yanked from the game, removing the level up system, resulting in players having no incentive to fight. You see, rather than the standard attacks, Mario would attack enemies with stickers, which is fine and all, but if you used a sticker, it would be gone forever. But if you're not getting rewarded for battles, and all you're doing is burning through your primary resource of stickers, why would you engage in a fight? So the game punished you for playing it, which meant it was just objectively best to avoid combat so you could save your stickers for when you really needed them. It was dumb as hell and most people hated it. Color Splash showed up next and was a little better, but still did not fall too far from the tree, and had a lot of the same issues as its predecessor. Origami King was a much better step in the right direction. I actually enjoyed the game quite a bit, and had a fun time playing through it. The game still had no XP incentive, which was a big disappointment, but the world was fleshed out and connected again, and each chapter brought a unique theme and albeit temporary but still present different party member to help Mario along his way. The battle system was revamped to this wacky spin to win mechanic, and was actually really fun, and felt so much more better than being blue-balled with the Aldi's brand turn-based mechanics. The writing was on point too, and I didn't finish the game with the sense of dread that the franchise I loved was done for. A major improvement over the last two, but still not an RPG and didn't quite get what people had been begging for, but hey, at least we had Mario and Luigi, right? Yes. Oh, that studio got shut down, and the last game in the series was 8 years ago. I wonder what oh, you son of a bitch. Mario RPGs have been a roller coaster of emotions over the past decade and a half, but with Super Mario RPG's upcoming remake, the Thousand Year Doors remake coming next year, and Origami King not totally missing the mark, Nintendo seems to be understanding that there is a strong want from fans for these games to return to form. But then again, who knows, because the Geno kids really wanted a character in Smash so bad and all they got was this Mii costume.